Joan Duncan was eccentric. Joan Duncan, the mother, was fun. Joan Duncan, the mother, was honest and direct. She was human, most of all. Fun, second of all. Every other cousin wanted to be where she was.
A real, genuine spirit. No put on, no, nothing like that. She's just who she is. Just who she is. I mean, no pretense whatsoever. She didn't know how to pretend or be something else. She was just raw Joan Duncan.
She related to us not like mother, child, like, that kind of thing where you have this hierarchical kind of arrangement or that kind of thing. Mostly it was spirit to spirit. Nobody better than anybody. She had that is the kind of woman that she was. She honored everybody.
There was an expectation in society at the time when Mommy was growing up of what a woman would do once they became adult. And there was an expectation that you would become that housewife, be that wife in the home and be the homemaker, etc. Right? And
I was not expected to go and get a university degree.
Right, was not expected first of all to go and get a university degree, which she wanted to, which she went to go get it, and then when she went to go and get it, she didn't complete. But she was supported by her mother, but still without her mother understanding why she had this desire. And yes, her mother again supports her, but still not understanding then why do you want to become this executive in the bank and work so hard? It's just not the thing to be done.
Dr. Norlands called her because he knew that she had this idea and he had a similar idea. So he called her and they had lunch. She saw the opportunity because having worked in the area that she worked in investments, there was a missing there. There was a gap there that she thought that we needed to fill that gap. He was at Jamaica Venture Fund, and so she went into action immediately. And within 3 weeks, she wrote the business plan, everything, modeled out everything. And when she presented, almost everybody to a man wanted to buy into that company. She was, because she had an idea from before, she had a vision from before.
Right.
But the beautiful thing about it too is that she was not just an ordinary company she was creating. She was creating a company that was consistent with her values and who she was. A company that was going to be based on love, openness, equality, equity, that kind of company she was creating. Openness, you can be a human being, you share your feelings, everybody free to be exactly who they are, coming from love.
So as you come with this love thing, they were like, what is wrong with this woman? Where is she going with this? She don't realize it's business. But then the competitors underestimated the power of love.
She wanted that in every interaction.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 7th Annual General Meeting of the JMMB Group Limited. This meeting is now called to order, and therefore we extend a warm welcome to all shareholders joining us electronically. I hope you are all keeping safe. As you will note, we are having this year's AGM virtually. This is to ensure that we protect you, our shareholders, our directors, team members, and other stakeholders as safe as possible. Can we stand for the national anthem of Jamaica? Thank you all. We'll now ask Mrs. Claudine Campbell-Bryan, our Deputy Company Secretary, to offer prayers on our behalf.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you that you are God, you are sovereign, and you are King. We thank you, Lord God, that you have been blessing this company from its inception, and that you have each year continued to bless us with an overflow. Father God, we thank you, Father, for each and every shareholder, for each and every client, for each and every team member, for all our stakeholders, because together as one family, we seek to pursue your goals. We seek to pursue your desires for us. We thank you, Lord God, that we can meet another year at our annual general meeting. We pray, God, that you will bless the proceedings. Lord, we know it's not what we are used to, but we know, Father God, that all things work for good for those who love the Lord and who are called according to his purpose. So bless us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. That was Claudine Tracy, Mrs. Claudine Tracy, as opposed to Campbell-Bryan. I now ask that we take a moment to honor and respect our clients, shareholders, friends, and family members who we lost during the year. I also wish to extend our deep condolences to Keith, Donna, Tricia, and Hugh on the passing of their father and brother. We'll now start a moment's silence. Eternal rest grant unto them, and let perpetual light shine upon them. May they rest in peace. Amen. We'll now have the Vision of Love, which will be done by Lisa Maria Alexander, in the Country Chief Marketing Officer in Trinidad and Tobago, Virginia Henriquez, Country Chief Marketing Officer in the Dominican Republic, and Kerry Ann Stimson, Group Chief Marketing Officer in Jamaica.
Good morning. The JMMB team is clear that the organization is based on unconditional love and mutual respect. This love is expressed in ongoing day-to-day working relationships and performance. Unconditional love is expressed in every interaction, and it is the foundation upon which the organization rests. Love motivates the JMMB team to serve our clients who are a very special part of our family. The driving force of the organization is to provide opportunities for team players to expand their potential, to recognize the power within, and their ability to fully express and manifest this power to the benefit of the individual, the organization, and the society. In the process, all individual and organizational goals are achieved.
Good morning. The JMMB team recognizes diversity while celebrating differences among team members. realizing that there are commonalities that bind members together. When this oneness is accepted, nurtured, and developed, this enhances the ongoing implementation of the shared vision. The intention is to ensure that wherever conflict exists, we achieve to a positive outcome. JMMB is committed to life in all its abundance. Accordingly, team players recognize the links between the organization and the wider society, and this interrelatedness of all of life. In keeping with this, JMMB is committed to being actively concerned with the conservation, preservation, and sustenance of the natural environment in order to ensure sustainable development.
The atmosphere that JMMB is in the process of developing may be defined as an energy field where overlapping circles of creativity, passion, excitement, fun, and laughter coexist in a dynamic process that ultimately leads to higher and higher levels of self-actualization, hence the achievement of the organizational mission. Team members, therefore, envision the JMMB Group as the premier financial institution of its kind, successful, professionally managed, with team members giving exceptional client care and striving to achieve excellence in all areas of life. Team members see the JMMB Group continuing to expand beyond Jamaica, retaining its spiritual characteristics and therefore developing all the disciplines required for its continued success. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. I now ask Ms. Carlin DaCosta, our Corporate Secretary, to read the notice convening the meeting.
Good morning, my JMMB family. Notice is hereby given that the 7th Annual General Meeting of JMMB Group Limited will be held on October 8, 2020 at 10:30 a.m. Jamaica time in a fully electronic format in accordance with the order of the Supreme Court of Judicature of Jamaica dated June 24 in claim SU 2020 CD 00227, a copy of which was attached to your notice of your AGM, for us to consider and, if thought fit, pass the following ordinary resolutions. Resolution 1, to receive the reports of the directors and auditors and the audited account for the 12 months ended March 31, 2020. That the reports of the directors and auditors and the audited account for the year ended March 31, 2020, circulated with the notice convening the meeting, be adopted. Resolution 2, to ratify interim dividend payments and declare them final. That the interim dividend of 21 cents paid on December 20, 2019, be and is hereby ratified and declared as final, and that no further dividend be paid in respect of the year under review. Resolution 3, to reappoint directors. The directors retiring from office by rotation, pursuant to Article 105 of the company's Articles of Association, are Dr. Archibald Campbell, Mr. Andrew Cockin, Dr. Ann Crick, Mrs. Patricia Daly Smith, and Mr. H. Wayne Powell, who, being eligible, offer themselves for re-election. To consider and, if thought fit, pass the following resolution. 3A, that Dr. Archibald Campbell be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. 3B, that Mr. Andrew Cockin be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. 3C, that Dr. Ann Craig be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. 3D, that Mrs. Patricia Daly Smith be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. 3E, that Mr. H. Wayne Powell be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Resolution 4, to appoint auditors and authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. That KPMG Chartered Accountants, having agreed to continue in office as auditors, be and I hereby appointed auditors of the company to hold office until the end of the next annual general meeting at a remuneration to be fixed by the directors of the company. Resolution 5, to approve directors' remuneration, that the amount included in the audited accounts of the company for the year ended March 31, 2020, as remuneration for their services as director, be and is hereby approved. Dated the 24th day of July 2020 by order of the board. Thank you.
To Carolyn. I take this opportunity to introduce you to the members of the board who are also joining the meeting virtually. These members are Ms. Patria K. Aaron, Mr. H. Wayne Powell, Mr. Wayne Sutherland, Mrs. Audrey Wells, and Mr. Andrew White. In the physical location are the following individuals: our CEO, Keith Duncan, Dennis Harris, Dr. Ann Crick, Donna Duncan Scott, and myself, Archibald Campbell. And you would have previously met our company secretary, Ms. Carolyn Da Costa, and don't know what has happened to Mrs. Campbell Bryan, but I don't see her now. Claudine Campbell Bryan. And you have also met Claudine Tracy, our corporate strategist. I will now share the guidelines for the meeting, which have been developed to ensure that the meeting proceeds as smoothly and efficiently as possible, while ensuring that members have an opportunity to participate in the meeting. All microphones to end at 1:30 p.m. Hence, we need to use our time efficiently. In accordance with the court order, voting on the resolutions was facilitated prior to the meeting. Members also had the option of submitting their votes via proxies as is usual. When we come to consider the passing of the resolutions set out in the notice of the meeting, a shareholder who is physically present will raise the motion, and another shareholder, physically or virtually present, will be asked to second the motion. Members whose votes are already cast, whether by use of electronic platform or via proxy, will not vote. Only those members who have not yet voted shall vote electronically. Now, we will permit a short resolution is tabled to facilitate the voting process for the remaining members who are voting now. For those questions sent in prior to the meeting and which relate to the business under consideration at the meeting, we will address them here once time allows. In the event that they are not addressed in the meeting by the end of the allotted time, we will respond to you via the rules, so let us use the common platform in the interest of us all. The minutes of last year's AGM. I also take the opportunity to inform you that the minutes of the last AGM is available on the website. We now move on to the auditor's report. I now invite Ms. Cynthia Lawrence, partner of KPMG, to read the auditor's report to the members.
Good morning, everyone. Independent Auditor's Report to the members of JMMB Group Limited. Report on the audit of the financial statements. Opinion. We have audited the separate financial statements of JMMB Group Limited, the company, and the consolidated financial statements of the company and its subsidiaries, the group, set out on pages 182 to 288. Which comprise the groups and companies' statements of financial position as at 31 March 2020, the groups and companies' profit and loss accounts, statements of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, changes in stockholders' equity and cash flows for the year then ended, and notes comprising significant accounting policies and other explanatory information. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of the group and the company as at 31 March 2020, and of the groups and companies' financial performance and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards, IFRS, and the Jamaican Companies Act. Basis for opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with International Standards on Auditing, as ISAs. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements section of our report. We are independent of the company in accordance with the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, ISBA Code, and we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the ISBA Code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Key audit matters. Key audit matters are those matters that, in our professional judgment, were of most significance in our audit of the financial statements of the current period. These matters were addressed in the context of our audit of the financial statements as a whole, and informing our opinion thereon,
and we do not provide a separate opinion on these financial statements. 1, fair value of investments. Key audit matter, see notes 17 and 32A. 92.4% in 2019, 93.7% of the group's investment securities are measured at fair value, for which quoted prices are not available. Valuation of these investments, although based on observable market inputs, requires significant estimation. Management use valuation techniques which require inputs such as market yields obtained from established yield curves. The COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in volatility of prices in various markets, the uncertainty of which has increased estimation risks for prices used in determining fair values. How the matter was addressed in our audit. Our procedures in this area included the following: assessing and testing the design and operating effectiveness of the group's controls over the determination and computation of fair values, challenging the reasonableness of yields or prices by comparison to independent third-party pricing sources, assessing the reasonableness of significant assumptions used by such third-party pricing sources, involving our own valuation specialists to determine or obtain yields or prices of specific securities and comparing these yields or prices to those used by management, assessing the adequacy of the disclosures, including the degree of estimation involved in determining fair values. 2, measurement of expected credit losses on financial assets. The audit matter, see note 31B. The group recognizes expected credit losses, that's ECL, on financial assets, the determination of which is highly subjective and requires management to make significant judgments and assumptions. The key areas requiring management judgment include the determination of significant increase in credit risk, SICR, probabilities of default, loss given default, exposures at default, and the application of forward-looking information. The economic impact of COVID-19 on financial assets has resulted in increased judgment in the following: the identification of SICR, which now includes COVID-19 related qualitative factors, the incorporation of forward-looking information reflecting a range of possible future economic conditions which are highly uncertain. Significant management judgments and assumptions are also used in determining the appropriate variables and assumptions in an appropriate model used in the measurement of the expected credit losses. The use of these judgments and assumptions increases the risk of material misstatement and is therefore an area of increased audit focus. Our procedures in this area include the following: obtaining an understanding of the models used by the group for the calculation of expected credit losses, including governance over the determination of key judgments and assumptions, testing the design and operating effectiveness of the key controls over the completeness and accuracy of the key data inputs into the IFRS impairment models, testing the completeness and accuracy of the data used in the models to the underlying accounting records on a sample basis, involving our financial risk modeling specialists to evaluate the appropriateness of the group's impairment methodologies, including the SICR criteria used, and independently assessing the assumptions for probability of default, loss given default, exposure at default, and the incorporation of forward-looking information, assessing the adequacy of the disclosures in relation to the ECL, including key assumptions and judgments. 3, acquisition of associates. On December 5, 2019, the group acquired 22.47% of Sagicor Financial Company Limited for a consideration of $34.4 billion. We consider this an area of increased audit focus due to the size and complexity of the transaction. The accounting for this transaction required the use of significant judgments and assumptions, including the appropriate weighted average cost of capital, to determine the identification and measurement of the fair value of tangible and intangible assets acquired and liabilities assumed. Our procedures in this area included the following: involving our own valuation specialists in challenging the valuations produced by the group and the methodology used to identify the fair value of assets and liabilities of the investees. In particular, the methodologies adopted and key assumptions used in valuing insurance liabilities, the key assumptions used to determine the fair value of significant identifiable intangible assets, the appropriateness of the discount rate used in measuring assets and liabilities of the investee, evaluating the adequacy of the financial statements disclosures in relation to the investment and share of comprehensive income. Other information. Management is responsible for the other information. The other information comprises the information included in the annual report, but does not include the financial statements and our auditor's report thereon. The annual report is expected to be made available to us after the date of the auditor's report. Our opinion on the financial statements does not cover the other information, and we will not express any form of assurance conclusion thereon. In connection with our audit of the financial statements, our responsibility is to read the other information identified above when it becomes available, and in doing so, consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the financial statements of our knowledge obtained in the audit, or otherwise appears to be materially misstated. When we read the annual report, if we conclude that there is a material misstatement therein, we are required to communicate the matter to those charged with governance. Responsibilities of management and those charged with governance for the financial statements. Management is responsible for the preparation of financial statements that give a true and fair view in accordance with IFRS and the Jamaican Companies Act, and for such internal control as management determines is necessary to enable the preparation of financial statements that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. In preparing the financial statements, management is responsible for assessing the company's ability to continue as a going concern, disclosing as applicable matters related to going concern, and using the going concern basis of accounting unless management either intends to liquidate the company or to cease operations or has no realistic alternative but to do so. Those charged with governance are responsible for overseeing the company's financial reporting process. Auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements. Our objectives are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statement as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but is not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with ISAs will always detect a material misstatement when it exists. Misstatements can arise from fraud or error and are considered material if individually or in the aggregate, they could reasonably be expected to influence economic decisions of users taken on the basis of these financial statements. Our further description of our responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements are in the appendix, which I will now read. As part of an audit in accordance with ISAs, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also identify and assess the risk of material misstatement of the financial statements, whether due to fraud or error, design and perform audit procedures responsive to those risks, and obtain audit evidence that is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. The risk of not detecting a material misstatement resulting from fraud is higher than for one resulting from error, as fraud may involve collusion, forgery, intentional omissions, misrepresentations, or the override of internal control. Obtain an understanding of internal control relevant to the audit in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the group's internal control. Evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates and related disclosures made by management. Conclude on the appropriateness of management's use of the going concern basis of accounting and, based on the audit evidence obtained, whether a material uncertainty exists relating to events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the company's ability to continue as a going concern. If we conclude that a material uncertainty exists, we are required to draw attention in our auditor's report to the related disclosures in the financial statements, or, if such disclosures are inadequate, to modify our opinion. Our conclusions are based on the audit evidence obtained up to the date of our auditor's report. However, future events or conditions may cause the company to cease to continue as a going concern. Evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of the financial statements, including the disclosures, and whether the financial statements represent the underlying transactions and events in a manner that achieves fair presentation. Obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding the financial information of the entities or business activities within the group to express an opinion on the consolidated financial statements. We are responsible for the direction, supervision, and performance of the group audit. We remain solely responsible for our audit opinion. We communicate with those charged with governance regarding, among other matters, the planned scope and timing of the audit and significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal control that we identify during the audit. We also provide those charged with governance with a statement that we have complied with relevant ethical requirements regarding independence and communicate with them all relationships and other matters that may reasonably be thought to bear on our independence and, where applicable, related safeguards. From the matters communicated with those charged with governance, we determine those matters that were of most significance in the audit of the financial statements of the current period and are therefore the key audit matters. We describe these matters in our auditor's report unless law or regulation precludes public disclosure about the matter, or when, in extremely rare circumstances, we determine that a matter should not be communicated in our report because the adverse consequences of doing so would reasonably be expected to outweigh the public interest benefits of such communication. Report on additional matters as required by the Jamaican Companies Act. We have obtained all the information and explanations which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purposes of our audit. In our opinion, proper accounting records have been maintained so far as appears from our examination of those records, and the financial statements, which are in agreement therewith, give the information required by the Jamaican Companies Act in the manner required. The engagement partner on the audit resulting in this independent auditor's report is Cynthia Lawrence. KPMG Chartered Accountants, Kingston, Jamaica, July 14, 2020. Thank you.
This too shall pass, because this is our home. Our home is not just a place we live. A home is our friends, our families, our lives. Home is a place we let ourselves love, and because of that, it will always be home. In these times, we all feel some of the same things. The uncertainty. We worry about our parents, our siblings, our children, our family and friends, the economy. Things may be like this for a while, and trying to process that may be challenging for many of us. Still, we move forward. We faced tough times before, natural disasters, political and economic uncertainty, yet we are still here. We rebounded and we moved forward. Before this pandemic, there was so much hope in the air. With investment and growth on the horizon, entrepreneurship, manufacturing, tourism were on a promising path. And as a region, we were making strides towards greater unity. We are not ready to lose hope. We will not lose hope, not for ourselves, but for everyone else around us, for everyone that we love, because this is our home and our home is worth fighting for. There are those on the front lines, taking the risks every day, keeping us healthy, keeping us safe, keeping us informed, and we are so grateful. Now we must play our part. We have seen many more of our people taking responsibility, rising to the occasion and doing what they can to make a difference in these trying times, because now moving forward as a region means all of us working together, diligently and creatively while thinking generously and honestly. We do this not only because of duty, but because if not us, then who? The pandemic does not discriminate. It affects people of all classes, races, backgrounds, and professions. We are all in this together. The entire world has stumbled. Everyone, everywhere, all at once. But as history has shown us, whenever we fall, we pick ourselves up, moving forward, smarter, stronger, together. Marianne Williamson once said, "In every community, there's work to be done. In every nation, there are wounds to heal. In every heart, there is the power to do it." Now more than ever, we need to dig deep and summon that inner strength we all have. We will persevere. We will thrive again, because we know with love at our core, everything is possible.
And thank you, team, for that special message. It is so appropriate. And thank you, shareholders, for joining us at our AGM today. As we move into the proceedings of the AGM, I would like to congratulate the JMMB team on the strong and solid performance for the financial year 2019-2020. The year's financial results reinforces the strength and effectiveness of the strategy and business model we have been pursuing over the last 5 years. With our strong 2019-20 performance, the group remains well positioned to deliver on our value proposition and our long-term strategy. But I'd like to speak on one matter: dividend. As you know, JMMB has a long history of dividend payment twice per year. This year, with the uncertainty brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, there were uncertainties with regard to liquidity, with regard to market values, and the operation of businesses throughout the Caribbean, as this was noted publicly by the Bank of Jamaica. We therefore took the decision in the midst of the pandemic not to pay the usual first dividend at that time. However, we are committed, I just read that again, we are committed to payment of dividends in our usual manner, and will advise the Jamaica Stock Exchange and the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange in the near future when the board will be considering a dividend payment. I'll now ask the group CEO and his team to provide a more in-depth presentation of the group's overall results and the direction of the group's strategy.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Morning, morning, morning. Now, normally this is our annual general meetings are like a celebration. It's like a coming together of everyone. Our shareholders, they come together, we meet, we greet, and we put on a wonderful experience driven by our esteemed group company secretary, Carolyn, and with the marketing team, of course. And we have had to make an adjustment this year in light of the pandemic, in light of COVID. And I would like to acknowledge Carolyn DaCosta, Sarita Barr from the marketing team, Claudine Tracy and her team that support, for their efforts in pulling together this virtual annual general meeting. So, you guys can clap your hands wherever you are, because it was not an easy event. First, we had to work through it legally, what is possible, and then we had to configure and put it all together technically to ensure that it worked, and to really train up all of us Carolyn had us do many walkthroughs. We had to walk through the thing over and over again because she's a perfectionist and she wanted us to get it right. So we'd like to just acknowledge Carolyn, the team, and everyone for making this possible. But we do miss our shareholders. We miss having you here with us. We miss the energy. We miss the vibe. We miss having a team coming from the Dominican Republic, from Trinidad and Tobago to represent, but we do our best to represent it virtually. Okay, so I'd like to again thank you again, and the shareholders, we miss you. But shareholders, I would say though, well, aren't we grateful for that dividend announcement that the chairman just made a while ago? I would say yes. I am happy about that, Chairman. So we're looking forward to your board finance committee and the group board meeting in UC as soon as possible to consider that dividend payment. We think it is very important that we do so and reward our shareholders, because you shareholders, our shareholders that invested their confidence in us as a team and as a company and in our business model. And you guys have, even with our additional public offer, we got tremendous support. So to you shareholders, we are committed to paying those dividends, delivering performance, and ensuring that you participate in the positive results of JMMB in a real and meaningful way. Okay? So thank you again, and thank you for your forbearance and patience in this regard. Now, as we, we ended last year on a very positive note in terms of all our accomplishments and what we're able to achieve, and I would say a tremendous job by our team on the direction of our board. And I have to acknowledge our board and our board members. These board members are some of the most committed individuals that they're more than you can expect. The time that they give us, the quality of the deliberations, and all that they add to our group and the direction, I certainly appreciate it. I have to acknowledge my executive team also, our executive team and the wider JMMB team that has given me the room to contribute to nation building as much as I can. And even during this pandemic, when I was really sidetracked and had to focus on other areas in my other capacities, my executive team, the country teams, and the JMMB team, they stood strong and they have delivered. And I would like to just acknowledge them and thank them very much for that. Now, when we got hit with the pandemic, we had just completed our budget. We had just completed our budget, and we go through the hard work and diligent work of completing our budget, and then we just presented to the board, and then we have pandemic. COVID-19 hits, and we had to reassess. We had to look at where we were, and at the initial stages of the pandemic, what is occurring is that you don't know. There's a tremendous amount of uncertainty. You don't know where it's going. You don't know what it means for us. What you know is that you're in mid-March or towards the end of March, Jamaica went into a lockdown. We shut down our borders. We locked down the country. Curfew hours and businesses went into almost a tailspin. So there was a tremendous amount of uncertainty because there was very little knowledge around how this virus would move, the COVID-19 virus would move through Jamaica. They call it novel, the new virus. It's new to everyone. So how would we adjust? So after completing our budget, and our budget did look good, and it was pretty, and it was beautiful, and we were making sure we were going to deliver returns, we had to recalibrate. And we did so, we recalibrated, but we had to recalibrate knowing that firstly, the first order of business was to protect our clients, client protection. We had to ensure that we partnered with our clients to see them through this, what we envisaged to be a very difficult period. And that was very important to us, and our team responded, and we worked with every single client. And in banking, on the investment, those with portfolios, those with loans, at small and medium, the corporates, every single segment we worked with to ensure that they were in a place and they knew that there was support from the JMMB group. Secondly, we had to protect our capital. We had to protect our liquidity to ensure that JMMB was solid and safe and resilient to navigate through this crisis. And that we did also. So, therefore, we created our initial almost kind of a defensive budget out of the COVID period. And then we, as we got to understand a little bit more around how this virus operated, and the Jamaican economy and the economies across the region in the Dominican Republic and in Trinidad began their opening up, the reopening of the economy, we had to now start to review and say, okay, how do we respond? And I think we were pretty proactive in this, and we had to reset our budget and reset our targets in Jamaica especially, and I would say that we have done a good job. I would say I'm also happy that we are in Jamaica for sure, and in the Dominican Republic and in Trinidad, we are ahead of our projections. We're ahead of our projections, and we're seeing growth returning to really good levels, almost pre-COVID levels, but that's where we want to get it to, and we believe we can do it, and we'll be pushing through to get it done. But and I'm setting the bar high here. But the team has been working diligently to see how we can ensure that we can return our profitability to pre-COVID levels. Okay, so and we will be able to set a time frame for that. Maybe we won't get there this year, but maybe we know that next year we'll be on track. Okay, Mr. Ellis? All right. And he can report on that when he speaks, okay? And he can give us guidance, okay? Thank you, team. So as we go forward, you know, we have to really acknowledge some of the successes we have had over the year. And we'd like to thank for the confidence of the shareholders in our groundbreaking additional public offer. We're able to raise approximately $20 billion, $19.7 billion to be exact, in terms of total subscription. $12.3 billion that we actually were able to absorb in the group, because that was a capital that was required at the time, or tier 1 regulatory capital that was required, and with some sort of a buffer to ensure that we could continue on our growth path. At the time, this was the largest in Jamaica's history and the first additional public offer. So I have to really acknowledge the JMMB team, the capital markets team, Julian Mayer, Carl Townsend, Carolyn Da Costa, because nothing happens unless Carolyn is there, and she ensures that we legally are compliant, that we're following the regulations, and this was a total success. And since then, we have seen the market respond with more APOs. So JMMB, a pioneer, groundbreaking, and I have to acknowledge the team for this. And it was a tremendous success. So moving to the next slide, we have to acknowledge the capital markets team, because they have been doing a tremendous job. If we look at the number of the transactions that they did last year, they did last year 44 billion, and they increased that to $59 billion this year, right? $59 billion. And we have built out the online capability, and I have to acknowledge, and I'm going to acknowledge the team as we go along, because we have to celebrate achievements, and we have to acknowledge team members when they do a good job, when they deliver on the promise. And we have to acknowledge the digital team led by Mr. Gifford Rankin for building out the online capability to make it a seamless experience for us to be able to do our APOs and IPOs. And we have done so with Transjam, which was a significant transaction for Jamaica, which actually put us in a position to give us the government of Jamaica cash to help us with this pandemic, to help us through the pandemic in terms of fiscal cash surpluses that are available. And the JMMB capital markets team was a big part of that. Not only the capital markets team, but our retail team and our corporate team and our SME team that drove the success of this Transjam effort. Our settlement team led by Mrs. Denzi Robinson, and that team in ensuring that we had a very seamless and successful experience with these APOs. And this digital online capability has really been able to now reduce the load and increase the efficiency for us to be able to manage these capital market transactions. And so therefore we have to acknowledge the digital team, Gifford, and your team. Thank you very much. Another major accomplishment for us was the acquisition of Sagicor Financial Group. The auditor spoke to it, and we completed it when we were here last year. We were discussing. We were in the process, but we actually completed the transaction, and this again was another major achievement for us. It makes us the largest shareholder of Sagicor. Sagicor operates in over 22 countries across the region, and JMMB, the JMMB group now owns 22.5% of Sagicor. We also, myself and our chairman, sit at the board of Sagicor. We are very much involved in the whole corporate governance process. We are very close to their strategy and their deliberations, and we have enjoyed the working experiences. No JMMB, but we have enjoyed the working experience with Sagicor to date. So, so the acquisition of 33 million shares makes us the largest shareholder. We're able to book gains, and Patrick will speak to this when he speaks, of over 2.8 billion, $20 million US of gains on the acquisition of Sagicor. And we were able to receive dividend payments since of $225 million. So very positive experience with Sagicor to date. It's been a challenge for Sagicor in navigating the COVID-19 period in terms of their profitability, as they have had to make significant adjustments in the Sagicor USA and Eastern Caribbean, and in the Eastern Caribbean market. Sagicor Jamaica has stood up very, I would say, fairly strong, but where the impact was significant in the area of the USA and to somewhat extent the Eastern Caribbean. But we're seeing some rebound in their performance, and Patrick can give guidance around that when he speaks. So we'd like to acknowledge the team around this investment, which is long-term in nature and will deliver the returns to us as we go forward. We have grown through our organic growth. That is us, our pushing and growing our business lines. I'd like to acknowledge the commercial banks for their growth, and the savings and loan bank in the Dominican Republic for the growth here. Now, our growth rate in Jamaica, our market share is 6%, and we need to move that, Mr. Jerome Smalling. Our market share is 6%, but our growth, and we're coming from at approximately 1 or 2%, maybe about 6-7 years ago. But our growth rate is at 48%. So acknowledging the team, the Jamaica bank team, 48% growth rate. Retail, Maya, corporate, Christine, the support of Alwyn, the support of the retail team, foreigner from investments with those referrals, 48% growth rate in Jamaica. And that is outdoing market growth of 16.3%. So we grew 3 times the market growth rate. That's a powerful performance. In Trinidad and Tobago, we continue the growth. Still at 2% market share, but we don't get really going yet, and in TNT. But we're the smallest player in the market. Our brand is not as strong and as powerful as it is in Jamaica, but we are making inroads in that market, and we had a growth rate of 40% against a market rate of 7.7%. We also had in the Dominican Republic a 53% growth rate. Now, the JMMB Savings and Loan Bank in the DR has been doing tremendously well. When you look at us across the commercial bank, the whole banking space, our growth rate in the Dominican Republic has been tremendous, especially for this year in the COVID-19 pandemic. And DR has been a very hard hit by the pandemic, but the team has responded, and for last year, we were able to have a growth rate of 53% against a market growth rate of 12%. So acknowledging Juan Jose, Indalecio, Thomas, and the entire banking team and the DR team for this stellar performance. Thank you, Donna. Donna is our resident clapper, right? So she'll make sure that we get the clapping going. We keep the clapping going, all right? Thank you, Donna. Overall growth in funds under management, we're able to grow our funds under management from 338 billion to 408 billion year over year. That's a 21% growth rate. That is a very positive development, and JMMB continues, the JMMB group continues to grow in a significant way. That's driven by deposits, repurchase agreements, unit trusts, mutual funds in the Dominican Republic, pension funds, and repurchase agreements. JMMB continues to outperform. We have to note the performance of the corporate team in Jamaica. They have been doing a tremendous job, and they have been set by our country manager, Keisha Forbes, who is just had her baby, Mia, and we have to acknowledge her, Keisha Forbes, and she really pushes the corporate team hard. Mr. Alway and Cousins for driving that effort on the corporate growth rate in Jamaica has been tremendous. And Alway has been even assigned responsibility of group support across the region in terms of building out that capability. So I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Alway and Cousins for his efforts. And I acknowledge the entire team, but for this growth in funds under management. You know, we have had to refocus. We grew up as an investment company. How do we now refocus around building out a portfolio of investments, which includes deposits, because deposits are a critical element as part of anyone's portfolio in terms of holding emergency funds, in terms of if you want a fixed return, then you invest in a certificate of deposit, you know, as opposed to investing in mutual funds and unit trusts, which are variable in returns. So therefore, deposits are a critical component in our overall portfolio construction at every segment level, retail, SME, corporate. So therefore, we have now been able to migrate over 65,000 clients, I believe, in Jamaica from our Save Smart account in Jamaica to our Easy Access account at the bank in Jamaica. And that has been a successful migration, and I acknowledge the change support team, the IT team, the bank team, the Jamaica investments team for that migration, because we had to now be able to really help our clients to transition from what they know as their Save Smart account to now having an Easy Access account. But when they saw the features of that Easy Access account, social media blew up when they compared the low fees, no fees, less onerous requirements of our Easy Access account compared to the rest of the market. And I can say that equivocally, that Easy Access account is the most attractive transactional account in Jamaica at any segment, retail, SME, and corporate. So therefore, shareholders, you must tell your friend them and refer them and tell them to open them Easy Access account. And we give you with that your Visa debit card that allows you international access. You can do your e-commerce transactions, especially in COVID time. You don't want to go to the streets, so you just go in and you do your online and you do your transactions. You can use your international Visa debit card, which is linked to our Easy Access account. Big, 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 big. That is major. Yes, that we can clap that one too. So as we move forward, we were able to, in new segments and new products were delivered across the group. And I just discussed in terms of the Visa debit card, which we launched, we converted our ETMs in Jamaica into ATMs, where they can do all transactions internationally and globally, and therefore we're on the network. With our ETM, which was our own proprietary network before, JMMB own network, when we were not able to have a Visa debit card or to be on the multi-link, we had to create our own network. We have been now able to step up to be on all networks. So all our clients can use a card anywhere in the world, anywhere in Jamaica, anywhere in the world. So therefore, this is really positive for us. And again, acknowledging the change support team, it was a major project and you guys got it done. The digital team, you guys got it done. Congratulations. You know, we wrote in 2018, we rolled out JMMB Express Finance, Trinidad and Tobago. And that work, we had two new locations in Arima and Tobago. And in Tobago, this is now our first integrated branch using an express channel. And we have now integrated banking and investments with JMMB Express in Tobago. So us getting into Tobago is a big step for us. This is the first time we're entering Tobago. And I'd like to acknowledge Elson and the team for this effort. And to say that we have been able to move our market share from 0% in 2018 to 5% this year. And after only 2 years, as of May 2020, we are into profitability. So we are acknowledging Elson, the team, Ron Carter, the country manager, Elson, who is a driver. We know it, he's a driver, and he sometimes will kind of, cause anxious moments for others in the group. But continue to drive, Elson. Continue to drive, continue to push. And how we are moving forward is that we're introducing digital online capabilities. So now you can actually go online and do your loan online with JMMB Express. And secondly, and also get paid online. And secondly, in terms of our strategic alliances, we're introducing the solutions, end-to-end solutions with strategic alliances, retail houses, electronic providers or retail operators. We are now have created 23 alliances, and that's another key area of our business model that we're building out through JMMB Express. And this model has worked so well that we're now looking to roll out our pilot in Jamaica. So we have had our Mark Tracy from the JMMB group, and he's been driving that effort along with Mr. Jerome Smalling. With Mr. Jerome Smalling guidance and support, we'll be rolling out our first solution in short order, and some tremendous work has been going on in that regard. So we'd like to acknowledge Elson and the team for this effort in really building a new business line to a new segment for the JMMB group of companies. Okay, we have over 6,000 clients on board now in terms of granting loans, etc. Our SME strategy, we have been focused on around building out our SME strategy. Last year we told you we're developing our new credit adjudication framework. Well, we have done it. Right? We have launched our new credit adjudication framework. So we are building out relationships with our clients, and you cannot bank a SME the same way you bank a corporate. And so we have had to configure, and I'd like to thank the guidance of Mr. Rajak, Patricia Sutherland, Wayne Powell for that effort in ensuring that we have customized our credit adjudication framework. Thank also Garfield in Jamaica, our credit risk manager, for the effort there, and the effort of the team in Trinidad. Even want to see some more in Trinidad in terms of really converting that medium client who has been our focus and really adjusting to how you adjudicate a small and medium firm. So we're making the improvements, we're moving in the right direction, but we have rolled out the new adjudication framework, which is important. We have also created relationship managers who understand who is an SME and what they need, what is the support that they need, because SMEs are at different levels. They are not the level of a corporate that have all the corporate governance and all the accounting and all the support. Sometimes these SME operators operate as almost an operator driving each and every aspect of the business. So we have to support them. And therefore we created our SME Resource Center, who is led by Duncan, who has been doing a tremendous job in building out those relationships across the region, Jamaica, Trinidad, and the Dominican Republic. Just yesterday, they had their group SME meeting, and they are meeting with a level of frequency to improve the value proposition and improve the delivery of services to these SMEs. SMEs have been long almost not really given the focus, because everyone focuses around corporates and larger credits and larger entities. We are giving the SME a real deliberate focus and meeting them where they are to deliver that experience, to add the value through our SME Resource Center and through our integrated financial services model. And it's very important because we have built the relationships also. We have built the relationships, working relationships in Jamaica with the Development Bank of Jamaica, with the Jamaica Business Development Corporation, with the JMEA, Shani tell me this morning, with the JMEA, and with First Angels, if a small and medium enterprise, they want to get their business going, we facilitate. And this is the model that we are rolling out right across the region. How do we partner in the market with those that are focused around building small and medium enterprises, how we partner with the entire ecosystem. So I'd like to acknowledge Shani Duncan for her efforts in this regard. She has done a tremendous job. Shani, big up yourself. So as we lay the foundation for the future, we have to focus around lane efficiency, operational efficiency, so that we can build out the platforms for growth. And we were able, over the last year, we told you that we were at the phase where we were in standardization. Well, we were able to actually implement our core banking platform, the standardization, which is we're doing across the region. In Trinidad, we have teeth and pains. Trinidad, we know you have the pain. We have teeth and pains. We're still in warranty period. We're working it through. We're all working like a team on this to make sure that we will reduce the disruption to service. We will reduce the inconvenience to clients. We are committed to do so. We're working very hard. I have to say the IT team, they're working like round the clock. The change support, they're working around the clock. So as we work together as a team to work through these issues, but it is for the long term and the medium term, this is going to redound significantly to the benefit of the JMMB group of companies. We have been able to introduce Moneyline, which was primarily in Jamaica, into Trinidad and Tobago also. Still going through teeth and pains, but we have to acknowledge it because we're not going to gloss over it. We're going to be open and transparent and say that's exactly where we are, and we continue to build on the effort. Now, just prior to us launching our APO, we're able, through the efforts of our group risk manager, Mr. Derek Rajak, to be able to get our rating as a JMMB group. And we were rated JMMB A+, which is investment grade. This is very important to be rated, and to be rated at investment grade is a significant achievement for us as a company, for a group of companies. That means we're solid, we are resilient, we have the capital, and we have the ability to continue to grow and perform. So CARICRIS did their rating, and we were rated investment grade. And just in the last couple of weeks, our rating was reaffirmed. In COVID-19, our rating was reaffirmed, so that is extremely positive and very positive for the JMB group, because this helps us in being able to get an independent assessment of JMMB, the JMMB group of companies, in terms of stability, financial stability, and otherwise, operational, etc. And that rating has been very positive for us. It gives us access to the markets through cheaper funding. It gives us access to even our clients, corporate clients and otherwise, who want to be able to see some independent validation of who we say we are. And CARICRIS has given us that. So it increased investor confidence, shareholder confidence, and stakeholder confidence. So we have delivered the results, people, and we were able to achieve a $7 billion 2019-20 profit after tax, and contributed significantly to our gain on acquisition, but it was a very credible performance, and that will go to the bottom line for you, our shareholders. And as I said, we're able to grow our funds under management by over 21%. Our earnings per share, before we get to that, our total assets grew from 320 billion to 400 billion. That's 80 over 320. That's a 25% growth in assets. And our total shareholders' equity moved from 31 to $41 billion. So, and right now, I believe our book value is around $20 per share, and we're actually trading at around $29 per share in Jamaica, which means that we are trading at a significant discount to market. So people must go out there and buy the shares, because look at the next slide. This is the kind of performance we deliver. We move from $202.34 per share in Jamaica to $3.99 per share performance over the year. That's a 71% growth rate. And there's more to come, people. So therefore, if you need to go load up on your shares, okay, go and buy more shares, okay? Because JMMB Group will continue on its performance going forward. Thank you very much, people.
Thank you. Morning, everyone. Board of Directors, fellow shareholders. I think our group CEO has really set an excellent context in terms of our performance. He has done part of my job for me. Thank you, Keith. But I'll just give you the insight, try and give you some insight into our numbers and to show you, as shareholders, why you should feel good in terms of our performance. Because in terms of our overall net earnings for the year, which Keith just highlighted, we have generated net earnings of 7 billion, moving from 3.8 billion. And it's important that we look at the context of our earnings, and that's an increase of 3.2 billion, or 83% growth. And if you look at the different layers of our income statement, you see that our operating profit, which is where our core earnings are being generated from, we're up 10%. Our profit before tax was also up 48%. And we mentioned the strategic acquisition that we executed on during the financial year, where Sagicor actually gave us the one-off gains of 2.8. But in addition to that, we will be generating earnings of approximately dividend flow of 200 million in addition to share of profit. So, and our EPS is up to $3.99 or $4. So where we are, it shows that the JMMB Group is our earnings and our core earnings are moving in the right direction. So in terms of our operating revenues, and this is what I want to highlight for our shareholders, up from 18 billion to 21.5 billion. And what is driving that growth is the core pillars that we want to have sustainable earnings. So for example, our net interest income, and that is being driven mainly from your loan portfolio, your investment portfolio, that was up by 5% of 442 million. You look at our investment portfolio and our trading, which is our gains and securities trading, a core part of our earnings stream, up by 51% or 2 billion. Funds under management that Keith just referred to, we had increase in FUM of revenues of 270 million or 24%. And on our cap markets, one of our newer business line, which generated significant activity during the year, we generated revenues of over 683 million, increase or 28%. So when you look at the revenue streams within our group, what it demonstrates or highlights is that we are generating our earnings from the core pillars within the group, which goes all well for the future. Now, on the expense side, you would have seen a significant increase as well. I know we are not crazy. We are not where we want to be. Our CEO mentioned earlier about setting the platform and building out the group for the future. And what that means is that setting the stage in terms of IT platform, one report standardizing our platform throughout the region, both in Jamaica, Trinidad, and the Dominican Republic. We also looking at reorganizing the group and structuring the group in a manner that we can be fully compliant in terms of our consolidation, supervision, and regulator reporting, but also in terms of that efficiency of serving our clients and meeting their needs. And as a result of that, also looking at our digitization throughout the group. And what that increase in the expenses throughout the financial year is, that would have been partly impacted as a result of those initiatives. But if you were to take out those one-off costs that we would have incurred, you would have seen that the increase would have been around 12%. And therefore, our revenue, which growth was over 19%, our expense growth would be significantly lower. And going forward as well, fellow shareholders will say, we don't expect that level of increase also. So in terms of our efficiency ratio going forward, while we were at 74% at the financial year, long term as a group, where we want to be is around the 60, 63%. In terms of market, you're about 55 to 60. However, in terms of the JMMB group and our business model, our client intimacy is one of the things that, in terms of serving our clients and ensuring we give our clients that value. So we expect to be a little higher than market, but our long-term goal is to be in the 60s, 60 to 63%. And once we get there, that will mean improved profitability for the group. I want to take a little time to mention the impact of the Sagicor acquisition. It's a lot of money that we spent, 250 million, 35 billion on our balance sheet at the financial year end. That's approximately 9% of the total assets sitting on the group's balance sheet. So it is a significant investment. But what it does is that it gives us sustainable earnings, the group, in terms of being over, regionally diversified, and the revenue stream that it gives us. We generated a one-off gain during the year of 2.8 billion, but also what we expect annually going forward is annual contribution in terms of share of profit. So 22.5% of all of Sagicor earnings, SFC earnings, will accrue to JMMB. So that's guaranteed revenue on our income statement on an annual basis. In addition to that, we also generate any dividend distribution accrues to the JMMB group as well. So during the financial year, March 2020, we would have received 225 million in dividend stream. And I'm happy to report as well, in our Q1 as well, we also got another dividend stream of 195 million. So not only are we getting that share of profits, but we are also getting a steady dividend streams, which impacts your cash flow and your liquidity in a positive manner. We mentioned the funds under management, very important in terms of growth for the business and how we grow from a core perspective. We had growth of approximately 21%, and that growth was driven by our customer deposits, 40 billion in growth. Fellow shareholders are 63%. Part of that was as a migration as well, but we had repo growth as well of 16 billion, and our collective investment schemes, very important, which provides help us provide a complete suite of products for our clients, which grew approximately 4 billion or 2%. So overall, from a core perspective, we continue to see strong growth within the group. Our total assets, and when you look at our balance sheet, and if page 184 of your annual report, and you look at the composition of your assets, you will see that where the growth on our balance sheet is being derived from 320 to 400 million. That's 80 billion in growth. That's a huge number, 25%. But where is that growth being generated from? Your growth is being generated from your loan book, which is your commercial bank. Again, your core business activity. 31 billion in growth in loans, and our CEO mentioned that we actually grew faster than markets, 45%. And I'd like to highlight as well, yes, we are growing, but I'd also like our shareholders to note in terms of our non-performing loan portfolio, especially in Jamaica, our commercial bank in Jamaica has one of the lowest non-performing ratio within the industry. And that speaks to the quality of the portfolio and our governance process. The Sagicor investment would have contributed to that growth as well, which was 35 billion. And you would have seen an increase in cash of 11 billion because within a COVID pandemic, our CEO spoke to protecting our clients and supporting our clients. And he also spoke to the capital management, ensuring capital is there and also liquidity is there to bolster the business and ensure that JMMB Group is on a sound footing. So if you look at the balance sheet, 95% of the assets that is sitting on the JMMB Group's balance sheet, quality asset, liquid assets, and it shows it leads into quality of earnings. Our capital, very important, because this is what we use to drive the growth, to foster our initiatives, the acquisitions in terms of a Sagicor to support that. Our shareholders gave us the confidence this year. You see our growth in our capital from 31 billion to 41 billion. And that was mainly as a result of the positive earnings that we generated, over $7 billion. Our APO, which we would have generated net after our issuance cost of about 12 billion. And even though that we would have been impacted by the mark to market in terms of the fall off of our asset prices of about 12 billion, our overall capital base still grew by over 10 billion. And that's an impressive number in a very challenging financial year where asset prices were impacted. And, we mentioned the value in the JMMB stock. You see that we're still trading below market. So, needless to say. Our group chairman indicated that it has always been our policy that as we earn, we provide a return to our shareholders. You would have seen an increase in our dividend distribution during the financial year from 798 million to 867 million, 68 million uptick. And this is where we even had the increase in shares of the 325 million additional shares issued. So as we continue to earn, we will continue to distribute to our shareholders while still ensuring that our capital remains solid, to continue to grow the business in a positive manner, and to take JMMB, where we want to go. And that's my little 2 cents in the interim.
Ladies and gentlemen, and shareholders and executive team members of the group, this year we're going to be adding Claudine as our group strategy manager, executive officer to the annual general meeting to make a presentation around our strategy. I'm grateful to have her here in delivering on this today because I worked with her very well. We have an excellent working relationship. You understand? And she's a powerful, powerful lady. So Claudine, step up.
All right, thank you so much, boss. Good afternoon, everyone. All right, so our group CEO and our CFO and our group CFO would have highlighted evidence of the group's strength. So what I want to reflect on is the reason behind the why and the how that makes us strong. And it's actually no secret. It's right there in our client value proposition. JMMB is your financial partner who always keeps the client's best interest at heart. It is really and truly the why rests in our desire for the fulfillment of our clients' goals. And it's a privilege to be able to journey with them throughout their stages of their financial life cycle to be able for them to realize those goals. And it's a privilege that we really don't take for granted. And that value proposition has really attracted for us in 1920, 36,000 new clients to our group, bringing a grand total of more than 350,000 clients across the group. And in partnering with these clients, we have been able to execute more than 12,600 goal plans created in just 2019 alone. And these goal plans are being executed and they're being guided by our team of financial experts. And so let me talk to you a little bit about our goal plans. So let's take, for example, a client. I'm going to call her Angela to protect her information. She came to JMMB in 1920 because she wanted to realize the dream of owning her own home. What year? 2019-20. Last year. She came to us last financial year. We're good? All right. So she came to us because she wanted to realize her dream of owning her own home, and she wanted to save and invest towards the down payment. By the time she came in and had a financial partnership conversation with our financial advisor, she wanted one goal. She left with about 3 or 4 goals because, for one, she didn't have an emergency fund in place. And through the conversation and the needs analysis and the discovery that took place, realized that was a fundamental building block for her. So that was another plan. And in the conversations, the financial advisor realized she had just had a newborn and she hadn't begun thinking about university and paying for that child's education. So another goal was created and another portfolio was created for this client. So when we say goal plans, we're talking about facilitating persons realizing real goals and real dreams and real opportunities. And as we build out our banking business line, we have seen a 35% increase in financing goals prior to the previous financial year. So for us, that means that our clients, through investing or saving or borrowing or other services or a combination, have been realizing their dreams of home ownership, car ownership, educational goals, and so on. We are particularly proud of the evolution of our SME strategy. Our group CEO spoke very passionately about it, and it's something we were very intentional about as we laid the foundations with many initiatives to be able to really and truly make a difference in this space. And we have been able so far to deliver. We have seen a growth of 122% in our business financing goals year over year, the majority of which was fueled by SMEs. And so for us, these are more than just numbers. For every number, there is a face, there is a story, and there's a journey. So for example, let's take Damian Chambers of Smart Technologies. So Damian came to us into our resource center that again, Keith spoke about. He came to us because he wanted to further build and develop his business. And in the needs analysis that took place at our resource center, we realized that there was a market for his product that he had not yet tapped into. So he was selling business to customer, and there was a market in B2B, business to business, that he had not even thought about engaging with. And because of our advice and through our partnership, he was able to tap into that market and grow his top line significantly. He grew his revenues. And so the increased demand created another opportunity. He needed to now expand his business to be able to meet the demand. So what did we do? We facilitated him, we supported him with a credit line through our bank. He also saves with us. And so we see that in each step of his financial journey, we are there with him as a true partner. Right now, we're continuing to work with him. We're working with him in building out a digital marketing plan, because ultimately, Mr. Chambers' goal is to grow, is to scale, and list on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. He wants to become a public company. And so the smart technologies Jamaica that you see today as a small company is tomorrow's medium and corporate size company, the success story of tomorrow, and we will be there in each leg of the journey. Thank you, Damian, for allowing us to tell your story. All right, so our group CEO spoke around how we had to respond very, very quickly to the pandemic, and how we took initially a very defensive posture as we sought to protect our clients and our team members and to ensure the sustainability of the JMMB group. And one of the things that we were very intentional around is that while we responded and identified the shocks, we were very careful to have our eyes wide open for opportunities for growth, opportunities to grow the top line and the bottom line, so increasing our revenues while curtailing our expenses, because we were and have been looking beyond the here and now to preparing to coexist with COVID, to preparing for a life after COVID, and that eventually there's going to be a rebound in our economies. And so we were very intentional about setting ourselves up to win. One of the things that we found during the pandemic is that it forced a lot of interaction and access to digital channels, which created a lot of efficiency gains for us. And these gains are things that we will be rolling over into the normal, as you will see our digital products and our digital channels are going to become increasingly important for us in the future. And the truth is that we have no intention of wasting a crisis. We want to evolve out of this crisis, and we're really taking the time to reimagine and to rethink our business and operating models so that we can build a stronger JMMB for the future. And so our group CEO also went through the areas that we focused on: client partnership, liquidity management, capital management, expense management, and of course, business continuity. But let's deep dive a little bit around client partnership. The truth is that we immediately were in our clients' world. The first thing we did was to identify the most vulnerable clients that we had, the ones who would have been really getting the brunt of the impact of COVID, our retail clients, our SME clients, or our corporate clients who would have really and truly been negatively impacted. And we proactively reached out to them, offered relief packages, for example, loan moratoriums, because at the end of the day, we felt it our duty to be able to protect their livelihoods, protect their goals, and ensure that we could minimize and cushion the impact of the pandemic. But not only did we reach out to our most vulnerable, we reached out to everybody. We knew that all our clients, whether they were marginally impacted or even if they were positively impacted, their lives would have been changed because of the pandemic. And so we're very intentional about reaching out to our clients, all of our corporate clients, all of our SME clients. We contacted directly and indirectly, or more than 300 retail clients. And we were able to not only be support for them on an emotional level, but to re-engage them in a financial partnership conversation and to ensure that their goals were protected. And in those conversations, we saw that many clients continued to grow. They continued to invest. They continued to borrow. They were continuing to pursue their goals. In fact, we were also able to attract new clients, because the truth is that many persons were attracted to JMMB because of its brand strength. They saw JMMB as that financial institution that was able to navigate with them through the storm, that financial institution that authentically had their best interest at heart. And it's through being very intentional about our client partnership within this season, we were able to launch a new solution. Many persons may be aware that there has been some game-changing amendments made to the Proceeds of Crime Act, POCA, that allows for simplified due diligence and tiered Know Your Customer, KYC. What this simply means is that less is required to open a bank account for low-risk clients and under certain circumstances. This really and truly addresses a long-standing pain points for many clients and potential clients because of the hassle that's involved in opening a bank account. And the truth is that in many instances, many Jamaicans do not have easy access to the kind of information that's required to open a bank account under normal circumstances. And we're talking about our underbanked population right here. And we actually saw this exposed when we as a country in Jamaica witnessed that when the government was distributing their care grants, that many thousands of Jamaicans did not have bank accounts and therefore had to physically access the cash to be able to access the loan, the grant from the government, so that they could sustain themselves and their families through the pandemic. And so we took the opportunity to launch our Easy Start account that requires only 100 Jamaican dollars, your TRN, and your government ID to open a savings account with JMMB. And this account is really a good fit for many persons. We also have this available in Trinidad and Tobago as well, who want quick access and easy access to a startup saving account. And this is really and truly just phase one for us. So stay tuned. We're still going to be trying our best to maximize the opportunity that can be gained from simplified due diligence. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we have experienced firsthand through the resilience of our team members, through the resilience of our clients and our shareholders, that we have grown stronger in this pandemic. And our CFO is going to give us the proof of how we have grown stronger with our Q1 results.
Thank you, Claudine. So, fellow shareholders, I'm just going to update you on where the JMMB group was for our Q1, and that is from April 1st to June 30th. Now, remember earlier in the group CEO's presentation, he mentioned that the height of the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, it impacted us around the end to middle of March this year. And it really impacted a significant number of business, not only in Jamaica, but in Trinidad and DR as well. You know, business shut down, the hotels were all shut down. So as a group, the JMMB group, what we did, we focused on certain core pillars. And the pillars we focused on was protecting our clients and assisting our clients in a challenging environment. We also looked at our bolstering our capital, as I mentioned earlier, enhancing liquidity and becoming more efficient. Because if your revenue streams are going to be impacted, businesses are shut down. I mean, it's going to be impacted. How do you manage in this challenging time? And overall, for our Q1, we despite the challenges, we are able to post a net earnings of 780 million. It's down from 1.1 in the prior year, but in light of the challenging environment, we do believe that it is a very strong number. And if you look at the composition of our numbers as well, our portfolio in terms of our core earnings, and remember, I keep mentioning the core earnings is something as a management team we pay a lot of attention to. In that, what that means is that during those challenging times, if you can bolster your core earnings, then when you get that instability within the markets and that environment, you can still sustain profitability. And that's what you're seeing in our Q1 results. Because our net interest income showed increase from 2.1 to 2.4. So it actually increased to 229 billion, or 10%. And that is as a result of having that stable portfolio, your loan portfolio, your investment portfolio that will generate that revenue regardless of your market environment. Where we were impacted in Q1 is really on our So where we were impacted is on our gains on securities trading. Because with the instability within the market, you would have seen a fall in asset prices. So you would not be able to have that level of trading activity within the market because businesses were closed. People will become a little more cautious. And that is where our gain on securities trading fell off by 800 million. But we were able to make that up in terms of become more efficient. And when you look at our operating expenses, our operating expenses improved from 3.8 to 3.7. And therefore, on overall profitability, we're able to generate profits of 780 million for the quarter. And, it's a really strong number in our view, despite the challenging COVID times. Just spoke to the operating expenses in terms of the improvement, and that's because we became more efficient in terms of and you're going to see the benefits of that going forward in terms of the digitization, the standardizations that we were referring to. In terms of our balance sheet, we saw growth in our balance sheet as well. Total assets grew from 400 million to 431 million, 8% growth in our assets. And we continue to focus on our core. Our investment portfolio, that grew from 198 million to 213 million. Our loans also improved by 3 billion, being 102 billion, a 3% growth in loans. Customer deposit also show growth of 5% growth in our deposit of 4.7 billion. And our repo liabilities also growth as well by 19.6 billion. So what you continue to see is a JMMB group and a management team that's focused around the core operations, hunkering down, supporting our clients, and trying to deliver value where it's possible. I like to speak to the Sagicor in terms of our Q1. The Sagicor SFC, as we call it for short, they have been impacted by COVID. They actually made a loss in their Q1 and Q2. We have seen improved performance in terms of the overall group. They were impacted within their U.S. operation and Eastern Caribbean, as highlighted in their quarterly reports. But we do see improvement, and we expect a rebound going forward. Nonetheless, we did receive dividends of 209 million in the Q1. So although we had that share of loss in the quarter, we did have that cash flow of over 200 million creating to the bottom line. Very important, we said the capital of the JMMB group continues to be very strong. It improved by 41 billion to 46.9 billion. And most of that is would be driven by the profitability of 780 million. Plus, in addition to that, some of those market prices where the asset prices would have fallen off in March, in the heights of the pandemic, we have seen a recovery of those asset prices. So our asset values would have improved somewhat. And just to say that the capital of the JMMB group remains strong, and all the entities, the regulated entities within the group, are adequately capitalized, which speaks well for the future of the group. Thank you.
Excuse me, we cannot just clap Claudine alone. No, did we? We never gave him Patrick enough clap. We never gave Patrick enough clap. Right? Patrick is trying to make financials interesting. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to give him the support. Claudine get to do all of those, what do you call them, Claudine? The client stories and all that exciting stuff, which is what we are about, that emotive connection, that really about clients' goals and how we move forward. But before I move on, I really wanted to, in response to the pandemic, our initial response was to put together a team called our COVID-19 team right across the group. And this was co-chaired by Derek, Rajak, and Keisha Forbes. And this involved a cross-functional team working together, CHDT, IT, group chain support, the country teams, the branch bank investments, everybody working together in response to COVID. And we had to make some significant adjustments in how we did what we did. And we have to acknowledge the IT team, because as we had to adjust to work from home, we had to ramp up our capability. We had to change how we configured ourselves to be able to do so. So I have to acknowledge the IT team for being able to make those adjustments so quickly in that period. Now, this could not have been, so let's go and clap them. This could not have been done without CHDT in terms of framing the whole work from home, framing the response, supporting the team, coaching, and really giving them that support as we transition that effort and being able to know building the efficiencies. And we could not have done that if we didn't have the leadership, Donna Kay, I'd have to say that in this area, CHDT, for driving that area with the support of your CHDT committee at the board level, right, to ensure that we can even embed some of these new practices as we go forward in the new reimagined business model that Claudine spoke to. So therefore we are evolving. We're going to use the opportunity well, and we're going to be able to see how we support people in work from home and otherwise a more agile and more efficient way of operating. And therefore, I'd like to congratulate the entire team for this effort to date. And we're still looking to cement all of these efficiencies into the new normal as we go forward, I can't say enough about that because it really was a Herculean effort to transition to where we are. We had to adjust banking hours. We had to adjust opening hours. We had to adjust the curfew. So Fornia, Maya, all of you guys who are running the banks, and in Trinidad, Lisa Maria, the entire retail team, Ron Carter, to the DR team, Indalecio, Juan Jose, the entire team, Carolina, everybody, the CHDT team in the Domrep, Georgia, in Trinidad. We had to make these adjustments, and we made them quickly, and we made them seamlessly, and the team was fully supported through this, and we made the team feel safe also. And as we learn to manage through this pandemic, we're making the adjustments as we go forward and working as one team So I just want to acknowledge, and that was a key area for us in terms of we're going to consolidate some of the efficiencies as we go forward, and continue, as Patrick said, to grow core revenues as we go forward. You know, and so consolidating for efficiency and continue to grow our core revenues, as Mr. Ellis, our CFO, pointed out, right? And continue to grow new business lines, and new business lines through organic growth. Organic growth is how we drive the business on the ground. We have to grow, and we drive through financial partnership, growth through financial partnership. Mrs. Tracy did an excellent job, Claudine did an excellent job of outlining how it is that you have solutions across business lines, with the example of, what's the name of the lady? You call her? Angela. Just, you know, she gets her bank account, she gets her investment portfolio for her child, so that they can invest for the future educational needs. She got her loan through the bank, and you know, so therefore JMMB offers an integrated solution, and we were able to, in that discovery through client need, and be able to identify goals that were to take them there. And we do this at every segment: SME, retail, corporate. So Claudine, thanks for pointing out that example, because that is what JMB's business model is about: integrated solutions, financial partnership to take us forward across all segments. And we've been reconfiguring our organization to drive the segment approach at the group level, at the country level. We still have some work to do in that regard. Ms. Donna K, CHDT, we still have some work to do in that regard to complete that work, so that we can really get that focus around the segments. The teams are working together very well right now, because that's how we stay. We work together very well. We are one team, but we now need to just really get that going and get that done. Business development, and Claudine Tracy drives this area in terms of managing the portfolio. We have we'll continue to have acquisitions in our pipeline, because we continue to search out those opportunities. Because we have to scale up, and that's called it inorganic growth. We have to scale, we have to build efficiencies, and that's why we standardize in our platform, so we can build and we can add new entities through acquisition. And we do have our pipeline. We do have our pipeline, and you will hear about that in the near future. As we said, operational efficiency, we're going to continue to drive that effort through standardization, through digitization of processes, etc. So that's how we're moving forward. The IT focus is a key area for us going forward. We have our new Chief Technical Officer, Stephen Shim, on board. Stephen has been promoted to that role, and we'd like to thank Stephen for picking up the responsibility. I think he has lost like 15 pounds since he took that responsibility, but that is good. We have asked his wife to make sure to feed him, so he should be all right. But the key focus is for us is really building out a solid network, solid infrastructure. The digital, led by Mr. Gifford Rankin, he has been doing a tremendous job. He is constantly in touch, working with the users, working with clients, and driving that effort. Digital is going to be important in the new normal and driving that experience. You know, the upgrade to online banking has been very successful for us at the retail and business level. ETMs converted to ATMs. As we said, the core enabling technology T24. We're going to look to upgrade that in in the medium term. The Visa debit card services that were rolled out, the online APO. We're going to build out more digital channels, online onboarding. I think we rolled out online chat already, right, Lauriane? And Lauriane, thank you very much for working with us and getting all these presentations together, acknowledging you. All right. She get miserable sometimes still, but so I go. You know, but she's a good girl, committed, and she works hard, and she works with the entire team. Thank you, Lauriane. Thank you. Okay, so, and that's kind of where we are in terms of what's the next one, Lauriane? That's it. So we're committed to continuous improvement, upholding our service level standards, and we acknowledge that we have had some disruptions in service. We apologize. And you as our shareholders, we apologize, but we're going to have to just work through these teething pains as we move through these upgrades, etc. And we plan to, in short order, sort through these challenges that we've been facing, both in Jamaica and in Trinidad. And And as we said, IT will be focused around the strategy of making business easier to do with JMB in your best interest at heart. So thank you very much again, ladies and gentlemen. We're now going to have our go to the country areas, and first we have Jerome Smalling from JMMB Bank, CEO and also head of the banking business line for the group. Speak to country. Keisha Forbes is not with us because she's at home with her baby. So Jerome will now speak to the overall Jamaica. Thank you very much, Jerome, and thanks for stepping up, my friend.
Thank you very much, Keith. As would have been indicated by Group CEO, CFO, and our Head of Strategy, we would have had a really good performance for financial year 2019-2020. Jamaica's contribution to the group operating revenue for that period would have been 15.39 billion, an increase of 16%. We were really proud as well around the composition of this earning. It was really spread across our core income, our net interest income, trading gains. We had significant improvement in our FX trading as well. For 2019-2020, we had contribution across the group, across the country. Our three major companies would be JMMB Bank, JMMB Investments, and the JMMB Money Transfer Limited. The bank recorded net operating revenue of $4.6 billion, which represented a 17% increase. We increased our market share to 6%, and our loan portfolio grew by 48% as against a 16% growth in the market. Deposit grew by 72% through the collaborative effort across the group. The investment company recorded net operating revenues of $10 billion, a growth of 12%. Our on-balance sheet funds under management increased by 9% to $114 billion, while off-balance sheet funds under management increased by 2%, up to $126 billion. The unit trust funds under management increased by 3.8 billion, or 12%, and went to $35 billion overall. We also saw growth in our pension fund, which grew by 10% for the period. The real star of Jamaica last year would have been our money transfer company, which recorded increase in operating revenue of 49% and operating profits of 32% through the efforts of Sharon Gibson, who led this company through a period where not everybody had ultimate or confidence in our ability to deliver in this business line. However, Sharon would have shown us, with the support of group and the support and the backing of the group CEO, that we can do very well in this business line. And we have a number of initiatives lined up that we will unveil as we proceed. Our net operating revenue for the money transfer, we had net operating revenue of 218 million, a growth of 17%. Our capital markets as well, which is relatively new, had tremendous performance through the period and reflected a 34% growth in transaction volumes from 44 billion to 59 billion. One of the things that we operate on is the fact that we focus on value for money. We try to give our clients value for money, and we have structured our fee structure is different to any fee structure in the market. And I implore you to check out our easy access accounts. It's the most convenient and most affordable way to bank in Jamaica as we speak. As it relates to our strategic outlook, we our group CEO and Claudine, our head of strategy, would have indicated our response to the COVID-19 and our efforts to ensure that we help our clients to land safely after or when we get to a better place. And so we would have reassessed all our clients, and we would have given different types of relief to clients based on where they are. Needless to say, we proactively reached out to our clients. We offered some clients moratorium over a specific period. Some clients were offered cash flow loans, and we continue to grow the brand in the market. As we would have indicated, as our group CFO would have indicated, we reflected a 4 billion growth during the period, the 6-month period between the end of March, which is roundabout when the COVID impact really came to Jamaica, and the end of September. We continue to focus on client partnership through our integrated financial services model, and we look forward to rolling this across the region to the extent that any client in any country will benefit from the JMMB way of doing business. Thank you.
I just want to give a big thank you. JMMB family for all the efforts that you guys put out through the workshop. I just want to give a big thank you to the JMMB family for all the efforts that you guys put out through the workshop to provide. I just want to give a big thank you to the JMMB family for all the efforts that you guys put out through the workshop to provide us with such a vast range of information we need for the survival and also for the growth of our business as well.
Really what it is that JMMB understands the human element of what it takes to run a business. They understand that maybe the requirements of a business larger than me or a different kind of business isn't necessarily what I can offer and deliver, and they're willing to adapt.
I came and I saw this long line outside and I was like, oh my God, of course, no more than 10 people inside. I'm so impressed with the service that we received. You know, people are coming outside, you know, trying to find out what transaction you were doing, and they speed up the transaction.
When the pandemic hit, I started panicking and wondering, how am I going to weather this out? And so I reached out to an officer at JMMB Bank and I got a moratorium period. That moratorium from JMMB helped me in organizing myself, restructuring. I've been able to keep staff on. I have been able to keep my doors open and my business going. That moratorium, I can tell you, was a big, big help.
Even though it was a virtual and distant transactional relationship, it didn't change the context of how things were progressing. JMMB met us where we were, you know, structured loan terms that made sense for us, and aside from the loan terms making sense, the customer service is unlike anything I've ever experienced with a bank in Jamaica.
The JMMB family embodies the heart that is used as their logo, because they put the heart at the heart of their operations.
Yes, thank you. That was really nice, really moving and really touching, and it is who we are at our heart. And you know, this is driven by our operations, you know what I mean? And we have to configure our operations to be able to meet the needs of our clients. So I'd like to really acknowledge our operations team in Jamaica, Kathleen and Nareen, for their hard work, especially making the adjustments during this crisis. The guys have worked really hard. And to our call center, Michelle Lawrence and her team, they have had to make significant adjustments. They have had to respond. Can you imagine how the call volumes went through the roof as people were wanting to find out, how do I do business now? I'm afraid to go in. You know, they had to be pacifying and working with clients on a day-to-day basis as their call volumes shot through the roof. And these guys sacrificed and they were very patient, you know, and as we had service disruptions, these guys have to manage through it. And we want to just thank you and acknowledge the operations, the call center, and the entire team that have been able to respond accordingly. And in Trinidad, to Neelian and team in Trinidad who have been doing their part also, Lisa Maria and team. So special acknowledgement to that team who were making the adjustment as we adjusted to COVID. So I really want to acknowledge them. Now, there's another person I want to, is Cecile Cooper from our CHDT team. Cecile operated out of Canada when COVID hit, and Cecile was able to drive, coordinate, and Cecile is such a wonderful listener, You know what I mean? And her relationship with the team and driving that and supporting right across the group has been tremendous. Mrs. Cooper, I really do appreciate you and your efforts, ma'am, along with the CHDT team. You know, JMMB, from a corporate social responsibility perspective, I'm not going to get into very much detail, but before I to say, you know, I have taken on responsibilities, but we are forgetting one thing here: the Jamaica Stock Exchange. JMMB, Mr. Julian Mayer chairs the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Mr. Jerome Smalling, Managing Director of the bank and head of the group business banking business line, is president of the Jamaica Bankers Association. I chair EPOC and I'm the president of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica. JMMB is offering leadership at the highest level right across Jamaica. And I'd like to acknowledge Jerome, Julian for the effort. And they continue to push. Just recently, the JBA and every single commercial bank has rolled out that tiered KYC solution for their retail clients and their low-risk clients. And this was with the efforts of Jerome Smalling and the bankers working together. So I'd like to acknowledge them. We push him a little too, you know, from a PSOJ perspective. You understand what I'm saying? But we'd like to acknowledge Jerome for his leadership. He was just re-elected for another year as president of the Jamaica Bankers Association, right? We continue to work with the PSOJ and EPOC. I cannot do this without my group administration manager, Althea Walters, who is now group administration for EPOC and PSOJ and JMMB and Key Personal Business. She is now group administration and she works very well with my wife, Wendy, right? So what I'd like to say is that, you know, we continue to give service to Jamaica as a group. You know, we have our Joan Duncan Foundation and we have a signature program called Conversation for Greatness, which is really about mindset change. This is driven by Donna K. Duncan Scott and her team in terms of the content and how we deliver, etc., and Patricia Sutherland as chair of the Joan Duncan Foundation. So we contribute not only through corporate donations, etc. We contribute in terms of time, in terms of the quality of the contributions, and really going to where we can really make a difference for Jamaica, our country, and the region. You know, so I won't get into any detail here, but the EPOC, we continue with EPOC. The PSOJ, we bring that same style of leadership and all about inclusive change focused around, you know, how do we build social partnerships and relationships in Jamaica, which are key to how to getting inclusive and having everybody on board, working together for a better Jamaica, a better country, a more, you know, as we say, we focus on human capital development within the PSOJ. You know, we roll out 2 new committees, innovation and digital transformation, and our agro-industry committee was rolled out also. And so we continue the hard work, and I don't want to go into any more details because we've run over time, but just to say is that we are committed through JMMB through leadership at all different levels to play our part in making this Jamaica and the region and this world a better place. So thank you very much. We have Mr. Ronald Carter now, who will now join us to look at Trinidad and the country performance. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon all. Good afternoon, shareholders. Good afternoon, team members. A warm welcome from Trinidad. I miss being there with you this time for the sharing and the discussion and the fellowship. Trinidad's borders remain closed, so it means that we have to do it differently. We have to do it. We have to do it this way this time. And it just gives us pause that who would have thought last year when we were sitting together that this would have been how we are actually communicating this year. So it just reminds us to take nothing for granted and always be thankful. The TT entities for the financial 2019 did very well in the context of a very challenging environment. The Trinidad entities were, like most of the world, all of the world, challenged even further by the COVID, and we would have mentioned that. For the year, for the fiscal 19 to 20, the Trinidad entities contributed about 3.4 billion Jamaican dollars to the group's top line, which is an increase of 24% year over year. The banking group as well continued slow, steady growth. And contributed 134 million to Jamaican dollars to the group's operating profit line. The bank loan portfolio grew 27% year over year, with a total country loan portfolio growth of 40%. And that's compared to a market growth of 8%. So the group continues to grow very, very strongly, and we're ahead of market. One of the key highlights I would say for the year was that we're very proud of is launching the SME strategy, which in concert with what's happening at group similarly is really a focus around supporting that SME, the small and medium enterprises segment, which we know is, like Jamaica, is an engine for growth in Trinidad and Tobago, and a really sector that is underserved. And where we've sat down and determined how do we support this sector, understanding their pain points and really helping and making a difference there. So that strategy was launched in February of 2020 and seeing tremendous response from the market to that strategy. Overall, we would have continued to see very solid growth in terms of client growth. The response to the culture, the service, we've seen a 30% growth in clients for the year, and overall we're up to about 35,000 clients at the bank. On the investment side, we continue to deliver strong profits. For the year, the JMMB investments delivered just about $380 million in operating profits to the group. Some of the highlights there would have been really very good work on the trading side, being able to capitalize on a number of trading opportunities in the market. We would have launched the wealth management business and becoming more active in participating on the capital market side, together with the tremendous work led by the group capital markets team. JMMB Express on the consumer finance side, also Keith had mentioned a real turning point there for us in May of this year, where this group, after a very, very solid build out, which Elson would have been leading and driving, that group we would have turned from the red into the black. And as we say in Trinidad, forever, forward ever, backward never. So that's a forward into the black and into solid growth. Again, one of the key drivers there is really delivering on growing our strategic alliances with merchants, where clients can come in, clients of that particular merchant can actually walk into the merchant office, whether it is buying furniture, whether it is buying mobile phones, and be able to actually get same time consumer finance to buy larger ticket items. In terms of just sort of the strategic outlook, I'm not going to spend any time on COVID, just to say that ready to acknowledge the team of the tremendous work that was done during those challenging times. So, our Chief Risk Officer, Tanya, would have led our strategic response there tremendously. The entire retail team, Lisa, the branch network would have responded tremendously. The IT to support, really a powerful response by the entire team in working through a very, very challenging time. Onto the next slide. Some of the big things that we are working on for the current fiscal, which is 2021. One of the things that COVID really brought home is the uncertainty. We all had to deal with the fear of the unknown, with how do you look forward, my investments, my financial position. And it really brought home the value of financial partnership, of taking the long view and really helping our clients build goals and keeping that focus on the goal such that we move away from the immediate panic and the immediate challenges to really understanding that once I have a goal, once I have a financial partner that is capable, competent, and committed to working with me, that we can ride through any storm. So it really showed us that is such a powerful strategy. And that's going to be a continued focus of driving that for a country across all of the entities, such that we are able to really harmonize how we serve our clients and pulling together all of the different businesses in Trinidad and really being able to deliver on that one client financial partnership. The continued focus as well, as I mentioned, was really on the SMEs, but also on the banking side is really being even more targeted around serving our clients. What we've realized is the opportunity for us is really focusing, really is on that small, medium-sized enterprises and less on the larger ticket corporates. Why? Because that's the optimize our value proposition segment that has greatest need. That's also from a financial perspective, the segment that we can also earn the highest returns. Wealth management, again, that ties into the continued financial partnership, the goal planning. Tremendous opportunity there. Trinidad is very, very, I would say, underdeveloped, or its financial literacy ranks relatively low on a comparative basis. And we see tremendous opportunity to want to play a role in building financial literacy, in getting to helping persons, everyone in Trinidad to have a financial plan. So there's tremendous opportunity there to make an impact from a people perspective as well as from a business perspective. JMMB Express, as we mentioned, it's growing. We continue to expand, not just on the branches, but continuing to expand in terms of on the retail side. We've seen a large pickup in persons wanting to do business with us electronically. And this, by the way, was even pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, we found that we had around 40% of clients who were interacting with us purely through non-physical presence and non-physical means. So that, as we mentioned, even from a group perspective, is really a key focus, is really using the impetus of COVID to help us ensure that we can make it even easier for clients to do business with us without coming in. And it's a conversation that we're also engaging our regulators around to helping push them to really ensure that we have the framework and the latitude to do so. Unfortunately, we have been seeing that response from the regulators, which is very encouraging. One of the key things for us as well on the expense side is that a major initiative for us is to improve our operational efficiency. On the bank side, particularly, we have a 90% efficiency ratio. So that's a very, very deliberate strategy around working that down, both through increasing sales efficiency, but also being very deliberate around reducing our expenses. One of the key strategies that has plugged into that is the bank standardization and standardization of our platform and our processes. So we would have launched the bank standardization initiative 3 weeks ago, and Keith touched on it. Like any major transformation, it has come with its challenges. But I think what for us, and we have no doubt that we've been working through those challenges. And I think what is most heartwarming for me as country lead is that it really underscored our strength as a group is really our people. Because the response that we've seen and the commitment that we've seen by everyone in TT, by the group, by the project team, by the IT, everyone has been working 24/7 over the last 3 weeks to reduce our clients' pain points, to help our clients get over whatever issues they were having. So I really, really want to acknowledge it has been a powerful, powerful demonstration of our commitment to help people and to make a difference. And that is really, really a strength that is going to take us and continue to taking us into the future. Thank you.
Also, JMMB has gone through a significant group reorganization over the year, and the two people that really drove this effort, I'd like to thank Patrick Ellis and Carolyn Da Costa for the hard work in getting this work done and really reshaping the organization as we go forward. Thank you very much, guys. It was important for us in terms of how we structure our balance sheet and how we structure ourselves as a company going forward. So thank you.
Throughout this time, I can definitely say that I've experienced the full gamut of JMMB services, and I can say that I'm a really satisfied customer. One of the things that I've admired about JMMB throughout my entire experience is the family environment that they make customers feel that they are part of. People tend to be one phone call away. When you come into the bank, from the design to the interaction, it just emanates friendliness and a certain warmth that you don't experience from other banks in a traditional sense. I've come to meet people on a personal level, and you really see how much they go above and beyond Call of Duty to make customers feel valued. So for me, I'm very happy. As a customer who has been part of JMMB during the time of COVID, I can say that they've adjusted really, really well, and the transition has been seamless to the interaction with customers. So I encourage anybody to continue to build their relationship with JMMB Bank.
So, thank you very much. These videos are really, really, really good. We didn't have master graphics this year, but we have videos. Okay. Just to say, we have one Jose coming up to now, and one Jose has been doing a tremendous job in the DOM rep. The results that we're seeing out of the DOM rep have been fabulous. And one Jose has come into his own as the country manager, making strategic moves, making strategic shifts, reorganizing business lines, keeping his team engaged and moving along. Ron Melo, I must say I am so damn proud of you. You understand? So therefore, please, you go ahead, sir.
Thank you, boss. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon to the board of directors, fellow shareholders. So in DR, as you know, we had a rough time with COVID, and at the highest point, we had almost 38,000 active cases, and that has come down somehow to 21,000, but we're still having serious issues around COVID. But the good thing is that we've been able to deliver very good performance, even though in that situation. And I would like to say that for 20, we were able to deliver 153% increase in our profits. And as a country, the main driver of that has been a growth in our core revenues, NII through our growth in the loan portfolio, also significant growth in the FUM. And I would like to say that when you look at our balance sheet, we've been able to deliver significant growth in the off-balance sheet, which is significant at the moment to offer clients innovative solutions and also to make a better use of our capital. Right now, the pension fund and our funds administrator represents around 13 billion in the funds under management, which is a significant achievement. Also, very good the development on our loan portfolio. We show a 53% growth in our loan portfolio with a market that grew around 12%. That is possible because, as our CEO expressed, we've been adjusting our capabilities to serve the SME market. We're adjusting to serve better their needs, and that has allowed us to grow significantly in that segment while keeping our delinquency rates at market rates level or even lower than that. When you look at our operating revenue, as part of the group, our country had a revenue of 2.1 billion with a 34% growth, which is also a significant performance, even under the actual situations. I would like to acknowledge my team. The whole team has been working around the clock during this whole crisis, and the focus has been really in our clients. And during 1920, we were able to bring 6,000 clients, new clients, and we are now serving almost 38,000 clients in the DR that are experiencing JMMB brand as a whole. I'm also happy to say that most of the growth that is coming to our loan portfolio is coming from businesses, entrepreneurs. So we're helping our country to promote growth. At the same time, we're growing our bank and increasing our profitability. And that's very significant at the moment because all entrepreneurs, all SMEs are going through a very difficult time right now. I would also like to mention that our pension fund, which is a solution that completes our offer to our clients, also show significant growth, and we have made significant strategic movements in our sales force in order to keep posting significant growth and provide that solution to even more clients. Just in that line, we have more than 7,000 clients right now, and we keep growing as the time goes. Also, I think it is critical at this moment to say that JMMB is all about our clients. So with these very difficult times in DR, all of our efforts has gone to help our clients, channeling the efforts of the government to ease their loans with payments that are reducing rates, also working with the businesses and supporting them through different tools, and our financial advisors have been working with them very closely to get them solutions in these rough moments. For example, we are right now offering to our clients loan restructuring so they can keep their doors open at this moment, and also channeling resources from the central bank at a very low rate to support the businesses that are going through difficult times. As in Jamaica, our tourism sector is closed, we're still under curfew, and as I said before, we're still having around 21 cases of COVID. So people are starting to adapt, but it's really a moment where we have to be very close to our clients. We really need to provide them solution, and that's where we are putting all our efforts. And we've seen great results, because even though we've been offering to our clients all these solutions, we have also been able to surpass our projections for Q1. And also, I have to acknowledge the work done by the CHTT team to support our people, our team members during these rough times. We still have more than 60% of our collaborators working from home. We are working on shifts, so we reduce the possibility of an infection, and that has paid a lot of results, because we have not even one serious case. We have had infections, but everybody is healthy, and my wishes go to everybody in Jamaica, in Trinidad, to also be safe, take care, and I hope we go further than this and we pass the situation soon. Thank you.
El banco JMMB Bank ha sido para nosotros un soporte excelente. Hemos tenido un trato exquisito, tanto en términos personales como también en términos empresariales. En el plano personal, siempre la asistencia ha sido inmediata. Cada vez que acudimos a cualquier producto o que acudimos también a alguna necesidad puntual, todo el personal está ahí dispuesto siempre a ayudar y a fortalecer nuestros conocimientos. En el término empresarial, lógicamente, pues siempre han sido muy flexibles con nosotros en el tema de buenas tasas, de buenos rendimientos, de acompañamiento, que no solo es básicamente buscarnos, digamos, los recursos para nosotros desarrollar nuestros proyectos adelante, sino también el seguimiento que nos acompañan para que esas iniciativas que nosotros tenemos, tanto en la empresa como en términos personales, pues se desarrollen de la mejor manera. No tenemos quejas y esperamos seguir trabajando con el banco por mucho tiempo. No solo en nosotros recibir beneficios propios del banco, sino que nosotros también podamos contribuir también con el desarrollo del banco. Desde el punto de vista personal, agradecemos fenomenalmente todo el apoyo que hemos recibido del banco, y obviamente la empresa está muy agradecida con el JMMB Bank.
We have a video from the Joan Duncan Foundation. We normally had a presentation. Last year we had some testimonials from those who have been positively impacted from the work of the foundation. This year we're going to do a video from the Joan Duncan Foundation. They continue to do tremendous work. I want to thank their leadership, Kim Mayer, Chairman Patricia Sutherland, and the board of the Joan Duncan Foundation, and the team of the Joan Duncan Foundation that continue to support Kathy Davis. You know, they gave us tremendous support with the PSOJ COVID-19 Response Jamaica Fund. We got into 25 or more and over 40 odd NGOs, getting to 77,000 people, vulnerable people who needed support. And the Joan Duncan Foundation was right there to support the PSOJ COVID Fund. So, Joan Duncan Foundation video.
The JMMB Joan Duncan Foundation's path to nation building and people empowerment continues to be guided by our core values of love, openness, honesty, integrity, and care. Compelled by a strong commitment to our corporate social responsibility, the highlight of financial year 2019-2020 was our amazing inaugural Conversations for Greatness One Love Conference. With over 700 persons at the Jamaica Conference Center, participants from every parish came together to continue on a journey of personal and national transformation. Men and women from all walks of life were strengthened in the undergirding principles of oneness, possibility thinking, partnership, and love. It was a day of enlightenment and empowerment, which culminated with the energizing sound of Rondell Positive's song, "We Are the Change That We Want to See. Watch me change the world. It takes you and me."
I am the change that I want to see. Watch me change the world, cause the change lives within me. The answer's in the mirror, the mirror, in the mirror, oh yeah.
As responsible corporate citizens, team members continued to be involved in outreach activities geared towards the empowerment of people within their communities. And our initiatives and partnerships continue to integrate practical tools and knowledge with a transformational mindset, leading to tangible impact and sustained results. We continued our support of the Child Resiliency Program and the Multi-Care Youth Foundation, the JFF Coaching School, and other organizations and initiatives which are all making significant contribution to national life in the areas of sports and social development. Given our strong commitment to education, through our national project, we touched over 5,300 individuals from various schools across Jamaica through CFG workshops and coaching sessions. We continued our partnership with the University of the West Indies through the Endowment Fund, which supports scholarships and bursaries for the Mona School of Business and Management. To ensure upcoming generations are equipped to fully contribute to a prosperous society and to pursue their educational dreams, more than 100 academic scholarships and bursaries were provided to students ranging from primary to university level, as well as summer camps. Our relationship with the Joan Duncan School of Entrepreneurship, Ethics and Leadership at UTEC Jamaica remained strong. This year, the 7th annual Joan Duncan Memorial Lecture, entitled Digital Entrepreneurship, Breaking Boundaries, was televised live on TVJ, reaching the length and breadth of Jamaica, and it was also carried on One Stop Media to reach the diaspora. Tyrone Wilson and Stacey Kirk, both grads of the Technology Innovation Center at UTEC, were the keynote speakers.
For JMMB financial year, April 2019 to March 2020, the foundation spent $266 million, which included full payment of $139 million for the UA endowment and $127 million spent on national projects, including Conversations for Greatness and other donations impacting over 6,000 Jamaicans.
With the onset of COVID-19 in Jamaica, we had to pivot. Team members are now working from home, and Conversations for Greatness workshops and coaching have moved online. We are very excited about the development of a CFG app with the overarching objectives of supporting participants to strengthen their greatness muscle and develop the practices required to continue to choose love and greatness in their lives. The foundation continues to be fueled by a dynamic and passionate team with a strong commitment to nation building. Together with the JMMB Group and its shareholders, we continue to serve Jamaica by delivering on our promise to support empowerment, transformation, equity, and opportunity for all. We are delivering Joan's promise. One love.
I would now like to take this opportunity to thank Keith and the team for sterling performance, a wonderful performance for the year. So please, guys, take a bow. But I'd also be remiss if I didn't actually ask you all to say to Keith, congratulations on his award of the national honor of CB, and that is not Carolyn Acosta. So Keith, yeah. So, Keith, we are proud of you because not only are you delivering for the company, you're delivering for the country. And we look forward to you delivering for the Caribbean. Okay, now for the questions and answers. The truth of the matter is that you know that no AGM would be the same without a question from Mr. Staple.
Thank you.
And he sent in one. One? Well, several, but one in particular. I know this one is for me. He says, dividend per stock declined, but profitability doubled. Will you consider a special dividend for shareholders? And what we can say is that we note the same figures that Mr. Staple notes, and it will be a consideration at the next meeting to consider the financial statements. So, no promise, Mr. Staple, but we notice the same things that you notice. Kerry, have you got any questions online?
No, Chair. I am not seeing any new ones coming up. There is an opportunity for questions.
While I wait on Kerry, there's another one that states, on page 30 of your annual report, JMMB anticipates a 1.1 increase in GDP for Jamaica for 2021. However, based on prevailing data published in recent weeks, what has been your revision to your models? Who would take that? I know the answer is here, but... Well, I know this response came from Claudine that says the forecast is currently outdated and would have been provided before the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. Currently,
I think what we can do is, because the Bank of Jamaica's and the Government of Jamaica's projection is negative 7.9%.
Yeah.
And we saw first quarter coming out at negative 18%. So therefore, we know that projections need to be revised. And I think the research team will be updated there.
Absolutely. Another question, and I think, Patrick, you can actually answer this. Could JMMB's management or auditing team explain how the SFC Align Invest transaction was accounted for?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. We have had several questions in this regard, and mainly it's as a result, as I'd indicated earlier, that the JMMB group is the largest shareholders within FSC. So therefore, because of the size of our holding, which is 22.52%, and because we also have board representation, we have to what we call equity account. We count for it as an associated company. So we equity account for the investment. And what that means is that we take the cost of the investment plus any share of profits and the reserve. So it is shown on our balance sheet. And we also reflect on our income statement any share of profits or loss for Sagicor in any reporting period. In addition as well, I know the question was asked, the fact that SFC reported a loss in their Q1, which is December, in their Q1 January to March, but we actually reflected a profit in the financial statements. And just to clear that up, our acquisition date was from the 5th of December, which is a 4-month period, where there was a 3-month period. So we took all our earnings over a 4-month period and not just the quarter results. And that resulted in the 195 million that was reflected in the financial statements.
Okay.
And if I may just, Chairman, I know Mr. Staple was watching, and he had asked to send his commendation to the management team in terms of the results, and just to commend the team on the result. But he also asked the question in terms of page 183 of the financial statements, the fair value loss through other comprehensive income was 12.4 billion, and what steps management was taken to mitigate against the loss. That loss to the fellow shareholders on page 183, the fair value loss, is the mark-to-market movements on our investments. And as we indicated earlier, during a COVID-19 period, the market prices would have fallen off significantly. So that is a feature of market movements. But I'm happy to report that we have recovered a significant amount of those losses. So in our Q1, you would have seen an improvement in that number. And going forward as a group too, we also mitigate, as I mentioned, about the strengthening of our capital in addition to our liquidity positions that we hold. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Patrick. And these questions from Mr. David Rose, I'll just take another one. These are Trinidad, and I think the CEO expounded on it already. It was a question from Trinidad. When will JMMB be considering the issuance of credit card and possible POS solutions in the future? That is in Trinidad. And Claudie, yeah. And you could also deal with the ATM rollout.
Okay, thank you. And so we note that it is a gap in our solution set, but we've been actively exploring and doing our analysis around it. While we can't announce an exact date, we can say definitely it's in our pipeline of solutions to deliver in the short term.
Thank you.
The question around ATM rollout, the team is working to upgrade, as I think our group CEO had said, to upgrade our ATM fleet across the group. It's going to allow for a lot more functionality, and again, we'll announce more details soon.
Okay, another question from Mr. Rose was, will JMMB consider another capital raise this year to take advantage of the current environment? Keith? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rose. Thank you, David. With relationship to another capital raise in this environment, JMB is always evaluating our capital position, because we, as we said, we always do have growth strategies in place in terms of acquisition opportunities and otherwise. And so therefore, we are always managing our capital through our group CIO, Mr. Damian Brown, and Mr. Derek Ojaka in group risk, along with our CFO. Through our board risk committee, we constantly evaluate, and we, as the market avails itself of opportunities, you know, we will look to be for maybe preference share. But right at this moment, we are sufficiently capitalized in terms of our tier 1 capital. And but we will always we will consistently continue to manage our capital, because we will have preference shares instruments that mature and decay, and therefore we may need to do issuances from time to time.
Okay, thanks, Keith. And I gather that question has come in to Kerry.
Yes, Chair. Thank you. I see a question coming in via our official email account that we have every year. It's agm_questions@jmmb.com. And this specific question, Chair, and I'm not sure who in the room can support. I'm sure we have perhaps Jerome could perhaps speak to it, but it's pertaining to feedback given around the challenges that a number of our clients have been experiencing with access to our online banking service, specifically Moneyline. They wanted to have an idea about what is being done to address those issues, and perhaps if any timelines could be given as well. And they also wanted some additional clarification about what any additional benefits that could be given. And there was also a concern about fees that reimbursements or reduction or elimination of fees for clients who would have been negatively impacted by the downtime associated with the service delivery challenges of Moneyline. That was a lot. It was like 3 questions. But I can go through them one by one.
You can take that one, Kerry.
Well, I can certainly speak to the fee component. Recently, when we had a downtime associated with Moneyline, a number of clients were challenged to fulfill their financial obligations, paying bills on time and so on. And we did say to our clients at that time, and we can reiterate it, that if at any time you have a challenge fulfilling your obligations, i.e. paying your bills or perhaps a mortgage payment that could not have been made in time as a result of Moneyline downtime issues, we have always been committed and continue to be committed to reimbursing our clients for the late fees that they would have incurred as a result of those. So we invite clients to reach out to a JMMB bank representative, either in branch or over the phone, to understand how those requests can be submitted, because we are committed to ensuring that our clients do not suffer late fees associated to downtime that would have come about from our system, negatively impacting their ability to fulfill those obligations. But as far as the specific system issues and what's being done to support those, I don't know if there's anyone there who could support with that update.
Okay. Well, okay. No, what we can do is, if we don't have, but we have, as a team, we have pulled together a whole entire team across the group, and we've been meeting every other week. We had as we did with our Back to Basics program, where we were working to really improve the client experience. So we're going to be giving the information and technology team the support, and we're going to have a cross-functional team work with them, and we're going to be meeting every 2 weeks. There will be systems improvements, and we should some noticeable improvements coming into next week. This was shared with us by our chief technology officer, and therefore we continually are continuing to improve. And once we get the improvements done, which are slated for early next week, then we will see improvement on the Moneyline platform also. But we will continue to engage with you through our group marketing team in Jamaica, Trinidad and the DR if there needs to be. But we are on it, and we are and the team is, as we said, working around the clock. It's part of this transition phase for us, and we do apologize, but we should we will see improvement. We have already seen improvements. I believe we have already seen improvement, but we'll see more improvements going into next week. Right, Ms. Claudine?
Okay. All right. Thanks, Keith. There be no other questions. One. Patrick?
You have another one?
Yeah, just to, I know Mr. Staple is one of our favorite clients, and I know he really wanted to get this question in. So I just take the question in relation to the He asks on page 216 of the financials of the annual report why we elected to use IFRS 16 right of use asset and how it benefited the group. Just to answer his question, Mr. Staple, we were mandated. We didn't have a choice in terms of what that did was to capitalize the assets on our balance sheet, all our lease assets. So that was mandatory. And on page 200 of the annual report, legal and professional fees increased by 19%. And what is management doing to mitigate against any future increases? And in my report earlier, I spoke to the fact that we had some one-off costs through reorganization and standardization. So you would not see a reoccurrence of that. And actually in our Q1, you would have noticed that our operational expenses actually reduced. So those were the two additional questions, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Patrick, and thank you, shareholders, for submitting the questions and recognizing our special situations this year. I'll now move on to the resolutions, and I ask Mr. Dennis Harris to take us through. Huh?
No, we change it.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Hi, good afternoon, shareholders, team members, fellow directors, and friends of JMMB who's online. This is a key part of our AGM that's passing through the resolutions. We will raise each resolution and ask a member who's physically present to move each resolution to be put to the meeting, and another member who's either physically or virtually present to second the motion. So we have quite a few resolutions to go through. So we just take each one at a time. The first resolution is relating to the reports of the directors and auditors, and the resolution that the reports of the directors and auditors and the audited accounts for the year ended March 31, 2020, circulated with the notice convening the meeting, be adopted. I now ask a shareholder who is physically present to move that the resolution be put to the meeting.
I so move.
Right. I now ask a shareholder either physically or electronically present to second the motion.
I second the motion.
Okay. The reports and accounts have been put in your hands for more than the statutory period, and we shall be pleased to deal with any questions on them. I think we've dealt with the questions already, Mr. Staple in particular. I don't know if there's any others. Assume that there's none. Okay, so we will now see the results of the votes, which should be shown on this. Okay. Okay, so it shows that the resolution has been passed with a 98.6% majority. So I declare the resolution carried. Resolution 2 relating to dividend. And I propose the following resolution: that the interim dividend of 21 cents paid on December 20, 2019 for the year be and are hereby ratified and declared as final, and that no further dividend be paid in respect of the year under review. And I'll ask a shareholder to second the resolution. Okay, now let's see the results of resolution 2.
The board sitting.
Resolution 3 is related to the re-election of directors. And I propose that the directors retiring from office by rotation pursuant to Article 105 of the Company's Articles of Association are Dr. Archibald Campbell, Mr. Andrew Cocking, Dr. Ann Crick, Mrs. Patricia Daly Smith and Mr. H. Wayne Powell, who being eligible, offer themselves for re-election. Of course, we will deal with each resolution individually. First one, I now ask a shareholder to propose the following resolution: that Dr. Archibald Campbell be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. I ask a shareholder to second the resolution. Okay, right, great, our chairman is safe. Right, we will now see the resolution of the vote for resolution 3A. 3A. Mm-hmm. Passed 90.8%. All right, I declare the resolution carried. Resolution 3B. All right, I now ask a shareholder to propose the following resolution: that Director Andrew Cocking, who retired by rotation and being eligible for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. And I ask a shareholder to second the resolution. Second. All right. Okay, great. I will now wait for the vote. 3B. Okay, and that an 87% majority. All right, so that's carried. Okay, resolution 3C. And we now ask the shareholder to propose the following resolution: that Director Dr. Ann Crick, who retired by rotation and being eligible for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. And I ask the shareholder to second the resolution.
Oh, you pass it. I second it.
Second it. Okay, we'll wait for the result for 3C. Okay, that's been passed, 91.8% majority. So the resolution has been carried. Resolution 3D, right? And again, I ask a shareholder to propose the following resolution. And I will propose that Director Patricia Daly Smith, who retired by rotation and being eligible for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Someone to second?
Second. I'll second it. I'll
Okay.
second it.
So we'll see 3D. 3D resolution is passed with a 98.1% majority. All right, so I declare the resolution carried. Resolution 3E. Again, I ask a shareholder to propose the following resolution: that Director H. Wayne Powell, who retired by rotation and being eligible for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. And I'll ask the shareholder to second the resolution. Okay. Let's see the results for 3E. Okay, the resolution passed, 87.6% majority. So I declare the resolution carried. Okay, we move to resolution number 4, which is the appointment of auditors. And I propose that KPMG, Chartered Accountants, having agreed to continue in office as auditors, be and are hereby appointed auditors of the company to hold office until the next annual general meeting at a remuneration to be fixed by the directors of the company. And I ask a shareholder to second the resolution. Okay, so we wait for resolution 4 results. Resolution be passed with a 98.7% majority. I therefore declare the resolution carried. Resolution 5, right? So we'll ask a shareholder to propose that the amount included in the audit accounts of the company for the year ended March 31, 2020, as remuneration for their services as directors be and is hereby approved. We'll ask, okay, and ask on second. 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 Okay, so guess we'll wait for the results for resolution 5. Resolution 5 has been passed with a 91.9% right majority. So I declare the resolution carried. That was our last resolution, and I really want to thank everybody for their support and participation. Right, and I'll pass now back to our chairman.
Thanks.
Right.
Thanks, Dennis. And this is an unusual meeting. And really, we look forward, as the CEO said, that the following year we'll be able to see our shareholders live and have the usual party. I know that Donna wants that party. But for the closing remarks, I'll now ask Ms. Patria K. Aarons to give the closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Chair. Good afternoon, everybody, shareholders, clients, team members, media, fellow directors. Thank you so much. I think in spite of the circumstances and this altered format, we can attest that it's been an informative meeting and that we can really be proud of JMMB, both our performance and our impact since the last time we met. And I think today we owe a debt of gratitude to Carolyn and the team for really pulling this together in this extraordinary way and making it happen. Thank you. I'd also like to extend on behalf of everybody our appreciation to our auditors, external auditors KPMG, Mrs. Cynthia Lawrence, and also Mrs. Elizabeth Henry Pottinger and their teams, and the teams at Price Waterhouse, Mr. Bruce Scott and his team, who really support our internal audit unit and they extend that usual excellent service to us. We have to say a big thank you to them. Also to my fellow directors, we thank you for your guidance and for always being ready to give the company the benefit of your experience and your expertise whenever needed. A big thank you. I also have to say, I mean, what would we do without our shareholders, without our clients? None of this would make sense. It would all be for naught without you. And we want you to know that this is as much your business as it is ours. You are very much invested in this and we welcome your feedback and suggestions. So even outside of the space today, the channels still remain open and we really want you to help us to serve you better, and we're open to conversation. And I think lastly, and by no means least, it's been a tough time for our teams in the DR, in Trinidad, in Jamaica. And we have some heroes that work on the floor, behind the scenes, the teams from those three countries. We really have to say a big thank you to you for giving exceptional service. You've dug deep. You found a spirit of innovation. You have genuinely shown care and respect to our clients and to each other. And I think it is that teamwork that has made us stand out. It is that teamwork that continues to propel us and continues to allow us to succeed. And genuinely, I want to say thank you for a remarkable year. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's hard to pay attention online for this new normal, and you've been able to stick it through with us. And so I want to say to you, thank you from the JMMB team, and I wish that you keep healthy and safe.
Well, for this meeting, I've seen participants. I think Althea is giving me that number now. We have had a significant amount of participants. It's all over the world. Althea, you have a number there? No, but before that, it had gone over 100. Wow. There were actually 159 persons participating in a meeting, and this was, and Carolyn has said that over 600 or 621 persons registered and voted. And really, we have to look at how we can actually have a mix of both going forward, because we are happy for the full participation. Shareholders, Thank you. Keep safe, follow the protocols because we want to be around for next year. Give you thanks. Bye-bye. Caroline. Yeah. No, Caroline, you have to stand up before this thing, man, so that they see you. Yes. Oh.
Shall pass.